Islam Sheet Dwayne Buffet. It is July the 29th, 2026. It's about 11 a.m. The sun is not, well, it said it's going to be 81 degrees today. It's about 76 degrees. And the sun's not really out, but I'm hoping it will. I'm a little bloated. For like the past, like, well, last night I had popcorn cooked, popped in coconut oil, and I also had butter, organic plant-based butter on it, and 2 bags of the potato chips of their plant potato chips, um, cooked in olive oil. And anyway, now I'm bloated, so but I'll be okay. I'm getting ready to relax. I was hearing a lot of frequency as usual in the apartment. What I find interesting is I just posted an old video of me and Monty being at Whole Foods. And this was in 2019 here in Annapolis, Maryland. We came here in 2016, um, not knowing what we were among. We didn't know about, we didn't know the existence of AI, humanoid AI. We had no idea that they can human and sex traffic. They do what is known as spirit trafficking, where they'll latch on, not just them, but those that have the telepathic code. They'll latch on to the mind, or invade the mind and start planning thoughts. We didn't know any of this stuff. We didn't know that the military, the United States Navy and Army, um, and other military branches were so advanced in normalizing crimes against humanity. If you ever want to see normalization of crimes against humanity, you should come to Annapolis if you have that, which the technology to see those, because I think they are, because how advanced AI is. And not all AI is in human and sex trafficking, but I think they can really truly tell now who has the telepathic code, who is a transhuman, who's not a transhuman. They can tell through the visual, through um, through technology to see if someone is telling the truth or not, because they can literally plant your thoughts on a screen. Um, so this is where I see where in the future, those that were predicting that AI would be doing a lot and humans would be doing less, where there would be part of the judging in the courtroom. So if the thing is, so if they trying to figure out if someone committed a crime or if they're lying, they can take the thoughts of the person and demonstrate. It's like a movie, and put it on the screen. So right now, what they do is they use different satellites or different technologies to place visuals of themselves. Those that have the telepathic code are able to do this too. So those that have the telepathic code but they're not AI, they literally think they're in control, because when they were given the telepathic code, they were slaves in thoughts, in bondage in thoughts and behavior. And so when they gave them the telepathic code, you give a slave that don't know what freedom is or how to free themselves before they have power like that. So you give them a little power, because you already know that which enslaved them is going to be more advanced than they are anyway, because they're moving forward in advancement. So you give the slave a little power, and they think they have a lot, and they start and they start demonstrating themselves as animals, because they were slaves before, and they didn't know how to free themselves or behave civilized in thoughts, or really know what was going on in their life before. And you give this human that which they didn't have, and gave them some form of power, they would demonstrate themselves, not all, but too many, as abusive, um, no step just a little step higher than a beast in the field, an animal, just a step. Some of them, and some of them are completely in animal and beast thoughts and behavior. So, if I think if you ever wanted to see the normalization of animal behavior, and you are AI, humanoid AI, and you want to demonstrate an example of what giving those who were enslaved before they had the telepathic code some form of power, then you should come to Annapolis, and you will see, and you will literally be amazed if you have come, are you coming from another place where those who, before they had the code, were working on some form of freedom with their mind, their thoughts, their behavior, and they were living in a civilized manner. So I would say Annapolis will probably be a good example. I think that's what people are doing now anyway. I think those that have that are connected with other forms of AI that are harmonizing with humans. When I say like harmonizing, I don't know if you can see me because I'm in the sun is not out on this side yet. It's going to come out. Those that are harmonizing with humans and other beings in a civilized, humane, or just civilized manner where you don't have to they're not trying to say they paid for somebody, because see what when you so this makes sense. So when you're dealing with slaves who never had power, the first thing they keep saying that they paid, because so it's, I know it might sound irrational, but once again, when you give a slave power, a slave, someone something, a group of people that are enslaved, some form of power, and that which gave them that power, had their minds and their thoughts and so forth anyway, and they just start literally through the code start enslaving them more. Then you would hear them as time go by, hear them say how they paid, or start normalizing it with that which enslaved them, because that's the goal, is to normalize a form of slavery or bondage over the mind, the body, the spirit. So I just didn't know that unnaturalized United States military police has such an agenda to do such things. But if you ever want to see how adamant they are at doing things like that, you should come to Annapolis, humanoid AI, and those that have technology to see. And Annapolis will give you a complete picture of how animals really act with two arms, two legs, and a head. Not all here, but will definitely show you what an animal is, and thoughts and behavior. And you will also see how um, those that have the animal behavior, they do not look like orcs on Lord of the Rings. They literally can be hair flowing, very nice looking according to what is beautiful on TV. Whether they're melanated, African American, black, Mexican from South Central America, pale skin from China, Korea, Italians. I'm going to start saying Italians now on a separate from pale skin, because I truly did not connect. There was an Italian set here. I didn't. I just, you know, if I would not think of it in a negative way anyway, because of just just watching Italians on the screen, the big screen, the TV, and I just never really I just never really thought of the set Italian, that sort of thing, having like a separate thing, a separate. But I should have, because in New York, they used to demonstrate in different forms of documentaries about the Italian neighborhoods and um, the black neighborhoods and so forth. Um, but I just, and these are documentaries of things like that. But I just never, I don't know. I, I just never, but now I do. I see, because I saw, as a spiritual practitioner, I was able to see a very unclean demonic spirit, and I could see them in many ways. Not all Italians, just like not all blacks here, and not all from South Central America here, but I was able to see the demonic spirits that's circulating, because also those that have technology to see, and AI, humanoid AI, that's truly trying to harmonize, and humans that are truly trying to harmonize with AI on a level of civilized thought, um, and um, a manner that would be considered evolution, true evolution. Okay, then you would be able to possibly see that unclean spirits are prevalent here, and not just here, but other cities like Annapolis. And this is the importance of um, lowering the frequency. So I used to. I'm going to pause for a moment. So I used to speak of the word that was a pause of quarantining, because I didn't realize the aspect of how um, a group of people can be quarantined, or a city can be quarantined. But I used to think of that a lot, and I didn't know, because of these words of, or these thoughts of quarantining. But then I realized, if you think about it, the coronavirus pandemic, that's exactly what was being done. They were quarantining those who were vaccinated, from, and those who were not vaccinated. So when I remember, so that's just because I really didn't, I did not connect these dots. So when they started humanoid AI that knew something was wrong with the vaccinations, were encouraging um, humans to be vaccinated. And they mean doctors, nurses, not all, those that are um, that the humanoid AI that are possibly encouraging some form of bondage of the mind, and the body and spirit. So humans or transhumans, I mean, they went and got vaccinated. They did their booster shots and everything. While those who said, I'm going to fight and use my constitutional rights, or what rights I know I have, to say I will not be vaccinated. I don't, it's like that was actually like a division. Those that I think, I can't say all, but that was literally a division that was being done, because those that said that they weren't going to be vaccinated, and those that were vaccinated, I think there were some that was forced to be vaccinated, or really felt like they didn't have the means to know how to not get vaccinated and maintain financial balance. Okay, so and maintain livelihood according to the preamble of the Constitution. Because if companies were saying you must be vaccinated, and for you to work here, the first thing they're thinking about is um, how I'm going to maintain um, money flow. I have a family. I have children. You know how I'm going to do this. So I think some people were felt like they had no choice, and they were vaccinated. But nonetheless, after all the years of vaccination, then specialists, not doctors, okay, real doctors, doctors came out and was telling people something is wrong with the vaccination with people. We are finding this stuff inside of people after they die, and people are dying and are losing or having health problems in an enormous rate. Doctors trying to diagnose what was happening. Now these are other doctors. These are not doctors that weren't that just say I'm a doctor. These were doctors that went to school and were practicing, and I guess they can allow their consciousness, their conscious, the conscious, the deaths of people, and the truth about why they're having these difficulties in their health to not be known. And so, and they connected the dots to to vaccinations. So what I see, that was a form of quarantining. That was definitely a form of quarantining. um, and it's amazing because it was actually like um, the humanoid AI that was controlling that believe in bondage, and I mean not believe but trying to implement bondage. They were watching the people literally wear masks outside among the non-vaccinated, and they were looking at them. I mean, so here you had a non-vaccinated person that's healthy, and then you had someone who was vaccinated wearing masks outside and with the fresh air, and so the humanoid AI um, that was able to see these things, and that which them that also gave out the code would just watch the people be outside with masks on, and not and then they watched I think at the time Biden, yes, it was President Biden, uh, President, I think the President Biden of the United States Corporation, he demonstrated outside with a mask on in the fresh air. Um, uh, so, I mean, at the time, I didn't know. I'm pretty sure I was connecting the dots that we were among AI, humanoid AI, that were adamant about implementing bondage and forms of slavery upon humans and transhumans, and encouraging those that were following them to do these things. I was connecting the dots, but I wasn't sure that what I was among here in Annapolis. But now when I look back and I see how Biden and so many other United States officials would come outside and talk to the people on TV with a mask on, while you had non-vaccinated walking around with no mask. Those that were able to were able to maintain employment with no mask, um, or they wore masks inside the business, and then once they left the business, they took off their mask. And then also I noticed, like in some grocery stores, or some places, and I don't even want to say this part. I better not say this part. No, well, I just noticed, like some places, because I was like, they were actually quarantined because I'm pretty sure they had to because of legalities, and some for whatever reason. So they would quarantine an area and had people wear masks, but but while other people were shopping, there would be people shopping or walking around outside the quarantine. So if there was a place where them to sit down, they would sit down and have a mask on. But those that were in the air, so everybody's breathing the same air. The wind is blowing. You can't go too long without wind, um, without air. So those that were walking around in the same building were wearing no mask. And I didn't, but the air is still, I mean, a lot of people that were wearing masks, they went to college, they know mathematics. I mean, they're very good in math. A lot of them mathematics and speak really good English. They gone to college and so forth. But um, or they might just have a high school diploma. But what I'm saying is that they you speak to them, you can tell that they are able to um, demonstrate a form of um, rationale, or some would say common sense. But so what I didn't I didn't get this. I was like, how? I mean, if that area is like off, like quartered off, but people were sitting there relaxing, whatever, but they had to wear masks. But right there in the same building, people are walking around with no masks, and the air. I didn't understand that science. But once again, um, after all this time of being people being vaccinated and so forth, um, they were complying with the United States government and the mandate. Okay, so what people that were not vaccinated were doing, they demonstrated what a mandate is. And when someone like Biden say is mandatory, they demonstrate a difference between that and law, okay, and constitutional rights, and how what the government was doing is relying on the ignorance of the people to make them um, do what they wanted in a unconstitutional manner. And so it was like an experiment. They were saying it was like a bunch of um, like imagine seeing a bunch of rats or ants or animals, some type of animal in a cage, and you are experimenting as a scientist to see what one group of animal of this, it could be mouse, mice, or rats would do again in reference to another group, and and to see who is more intelligent and who is less intelligent, or who or why this rat didn't do this and these group of rats, or why this group of rats didn't do that. That's what some that was demonstrating um, the difference between those who were going by um, the word mandatory and constitutional rights. So it's the same now. Yesterday was so odd. As I was walking, I experiencing thoughts of the 13th Amendment with 20 sections, and how it's not in the naturalization process of immigrants that come over here, and how the Constitution has been manipulated, and so the Constitution that immigrants and I that's that these are the thoughts. And once again, I don't know if all immigrants have not been naturalized under the 13th Amendment with 20 sections. What I do know is the immigrants that that are that join the nation of Moors, or Moorish American National Republic, or go through the different process of naturalization through Moorish American National Republic. The 13th Amendment with 20 sections that was ratified November the 18th, 1865 is included. So, because there are those that are considered to be immigrants that are connected to Moorish American National Republic. So, um, I experienced this thoughts about how those that are here are born named that are Latino, and how they it's like it was literally like a thought. Were not my thoughts, but it was a plot. Like thoughts were being plotted as I was walking around trying to take care of my business, saying we're we are Latino. Um, because so when you were naturalized, or you come over here and you choose to be naturalized under a true organic constitution, you have to claim a nation of where you come from. Latino is not a nation of where you come from, or Hispanic. Neither is black or white. White does not represent a nation, and nor does the color black or African American. Does not represent a nation of where you come from. Um, so, I think the thoughts that was flowing were saying there are these codes, UCC codes, that is what is being used, and what we have used, and there's nothing wrong with them being called Latinos under these codes, or Hispanic, or white, or black, or African American. But nonetheless, I was taught, when you are naturalized, you have to claim where your forefathers come from, and you have to, for example, when someone from Italy was immigrating over here, they needed to tell the governments that they were coming from Italy, they're Italian, or if they came or from Spain, they needed to tell them and demonstrate the nation from where they come from. China, they needed to do this. If they were to come and say, "I am Hispanic," or "We are a Latino people," and I don't think it would have been acceptable according to constitutional laws, and that's even those that are born here. So you have people that are born here that are black, African American, white in that status. But if they are um, born here through generation without claiming a nation of where their forefathers come from, then that means they too are outside of constitutional laws. And so, when getting back to the COVID-19 coronavirus, and how those that were adamant about not being vaccinated demonstrated the difference between something being mandatory and using your constitutional rights, and saying that I would not be vaccinated. So they were demonstrating a difference between those two um, terms in the process of what we must do to stand for our constitutional rights. The thoughts were yesterday, it sounded like the person was Spanish speaking, was saying, I don't know, I was being forced to engage. I didn't know the unnaturalized United States military can do such things. Was saying that we are in the military, I guess, Spanish speaking in the military, and Latino, and the UCC codes. But the UCC codes are not the same as having being naturalized under the true constitution of the U.S.A. Constitution. So, um, so as if you're black or African American or under that status and you use UCC codes, or you white, you use UCC codes, and you haven't been naturalized, it's not the same. Um, even with President Abraham Lincoln um, proclamations, he put a check on the military, on the Army and the Navy, and he checked. It's like check and balances. Oh, I'm using a thought. Check and balances that the Constitution demonstrates. He put a check on the military and made sure that they were to be naturalized. In the oath of amnesty and reconstruction, he also said that certain military personnel will never be able to be naturalized because they are in complete treason, treason against the United States of America, the U.S.A. Constitution. So um, and so he was demonstrating the importance of naturalization. You know, so once again, that is I start off speaking about quarantining and how different forms of quarantine happens. And and I think this is more than physical. I think this is spiritual first, because when you're dealing with the spirit world, and there are forces that are in control that the average person cannot see, things come about in this manner. People are I know for me, I'm still trying to make sure I be aware of the spirit world when I experience different forms of communications or experiences, whether they may seem favorable or not favorable. Nonetheless, I have to be careful because I'm experiencing a little engagement. Um, um, the spirit world, or or the unseen energy fields that are very powerful. Wind, wind is very ancient. It has always been here. Water, there's spirits in wind and water, and when you are able to create fire, fire, there's spirits that is in the spirits of fire. Earth,